Hello, how in the world is everybody doing? I hope I'm coming through tonight because I am doing a major broadcast tonight. I am broadcasting to a whole bunch of places, some places that I have never broadcast to. I'm going to have to watch 3 or 4 chats, all kinds of stuff. So I would like to welcome everybody. I don't even know if we're broadcasting to the right spots, because I'm not seeing anything. So, wow, if you've never watched the show before, we always take a couple minutes here at the beginning to welcome everybody into the chat, do a shout out from anybody who's there, and all that kind of fun stuff. So, welcome everybody. We have a good show tonight. It should be interesting. And if you're wondering why I'm looking that way, I have 4 screens running tonight, and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm getting a feed. And I am getting a feed. Yay! So, everything's good. Awesome. So, welcome everybody. Like I said, I'm going to have to watch several chats tonight, see where stuff's coming from, because we are broadcasting to all the Disc Jockey News places. And we are also doing a simulcast tonight to all of my channels. So, people who are on my regular Facebook are getting to see this. It's going to be slightly delayed because I'm running multiple machines and my YouTube and all kinds of stuff like that. So, let's take a look and see who's here in the chat. I got the chat kind of hidden here, so I might have to move some stuff around, if you know what I mean, so I can see, because the chat was behind the camera, and you never want the chat behind the camera. All right, so Fly Robin, how are you? Welcome. I'm glad you're here tonight. Todd Steep, what's going on? How are you? Eddie from Garfield, New Jersey, welcome. How are you? Silvio, what's going on? Robert, Clark, JC from Mexico City. Awesome. I love that. Freddie, how are you doing tonight? David J, what's going on? Jason Nelson, what's going on? Joe Bez, what's going on? Have a good bunch of people. Like I said, I have no idea how many different places we are broadcasting to that are actually working. I want to check one more while we're here to make sure we are. You'll probably get to hear something here in a second. I'll have to kill it. But it says we are live there. I don't know what it's grabbing or not grabbing. It's getting caught up there. No, see what it is I'm running 4 monitors tonight. So I'm running 4 monitors, and I'm trying to get to make sure that I have everything that's feeding the way it's supposed to be feeding, and it's just so I'm not going to my Facebook page tonight. Either that or it won't show up, one of the two. No, there it goes. So it's showing something. But it showed that it shut off in 43 seconds, so that's interesting. Like I said, I'm just trying to expand everything to the best of my abilities right now, and tonight's going to be a pretty good show. I really need someone helping with all of this. Again, because like I said, I'm trying to feed over to there, and it says offline on everything. So apparently I'm not online on that. Starting streaming again on there. Please forgive me, like I said, because I want to try half-hour shows, and they're going to alternate weeks where some weeks are open question night and other weeks are topic night, like tonight. I think we're possibly now finally broadcasting. Yeah, we are. We have nobody watching, but we're broadcasting all 4, so good. We are ready to start. So, again, everybody in the chat there. Hello, Scott. Scott, did you message John about what? I don't know what you were supposed to message John. Like I said, because we're working in multiple platforms tonight, and I think the ones that are feeding to mine are kind of lagging because I'm pulling a lot of resources from the other. So, yeah, I'm lagging. So we might end up killing the other ones because it's lagging. Pulling a lot of resources there. So if you are watching on my channel, I'm going to have to say goodbye to you. There we go. And we should stay in the green now, and John's, we should be good. We should be all, yeah. That's what it was. It was just killing. It was too much for it. So that's all good. We live and learn. Trying to figure out how to push this to as many places as I can there. So just in the chat, make sure you those of you who are watching on Disc Jockey News, make sure that I'm coming through loud and clear, no glitchy stuff, all that kind of stuff. Make sure, if you could, please, let me know what's going on, all that kind of thing. Oh, there we go. I'm muted. I think I'm live. We're good. Everything's good to go. So, sorry for the slight delayed lateness on this. Like I said, because it's something that I'm trying to experiment. I'm trying to reach as many things as I can, and it did not work to reach over to my things at the same time. It was just too much bandwidth that I'm pushing there. But in the meantime, thank you for letting me know everything's okay. Cool. All right, so tonight is kind of special. Again, most of the time my topics that I do, believe it or not, come from someone that I speak with within Disc Jockey News, a viewer, a friend, something like that. And tonight came about with a conversation I had a few weeks ago. I don't want... Some of the people who are watching tonight will know who I'm talking about. Please don't say anything. I don't want that person to feel uncomfortable in any way or shape or form, but it was just their questions about something that brought on tonight's topic, and I wanted to kind of face it the best I could. So I'm not belittling anybody, because everybody comes from different areas, and I heard this guy one time say, he goes, everybody has a blind spot. So that means that everybody has a part of what they see that is that they miss things, okay? And the person asked me a question about the kicks and drums that go on while a DJ is mixing, and they were saying questions like, where does the beat come from? I've been watching mixes online, and the person always seems to have a beat that's underneath the music all the time, and want to know where that came from. And through the conversation we had, it was more about the types of songs that are out there for a DJ to use, and that's what kind of sparked this whole thing. So tonight I'm going to go in and talk about and answer questions about all the freaking different kinds of music versions, everything. Where do you get them? What are they? All that kind of stuff. And I'm going to cover all of that tonight, so that we can kind of get a better picture of what is out there in the DJ world for you to DJ with. Because a lot of people, I was actually talking to a friend today online, on the phone, and he was talking about another friend of ours who pretty much always plays album cuts. And he doesn't get into any kind of remixes, redrums, anything, or at least not very often. He plays a lot of album cuts. And there's so much more out there in the DJ world when it comes to versions of music that are just unbelievable. And I kind of just want to talk about them tonight and open up a little dialogue between us about those different types of things. So if you have any questions, try to shout them out as we go along. I've kind of broken this down. As you know me, I break stuff down into different little segments there, and we can answer questions as we go along there. But first thing I want to talk about is file types. A lot of people back in the day, you didn't have too many file types to deal with, but today there's a whole freaking lot of file types, both in audio form and video form. And I wanted to share this because this is simply all of the types of files that Virtual DJ will play. So that means that in your library, you might have more than MP3s, more than waves, more than lossless, more than MPEGs, all that kind of stuff. And this is all the ones that Virtual will play. So knowing the different types of files that are out there is kind of good to know what you have in yours. And the ones that we have here, let me go to left screen. These are all the ones that Virtual plays. Now, many of you know about, the MP3s and the waves, but some of these are other ones. This is a Windows Media Audio, and you've seen different ones. That's a video file. That's a video file. That's a video file. On through video file, video file. Not too many people using that anymore. These are Virtual DJs ones that they do, which are edits and samples and different things like that. And you will have all of these at some point if you use Virtual. But the whole purpose of it is to look at the fact that there are more than just one type of file out there, and you kind of need to know a little bit about that. Now, I intended to put a link in the show notes. I'm going to put it in the chat right now, but after the show, I will put this same link in the show notes. But what it is a link to talk about, because I did not want to go into a lot of detail on this, sample rate, bit rate, and bit depth when it comes to the quality of each of those things, because it would take forever. And then there's an opinion side of it that I just didn't want to get into. So you've got all the different file types. Like I said, I'm going to drop it in the chat right now, but after the show, I will put it in the show notes so you can go back and look at it. It is, I think, a pretty decent article that looks at all the different types of files, bit rates, what they mean, stuff like that. So take a look at it after the show. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat as I'm doing this too. But like I said, those of you who know this show is about the mix DJ. So the discussion I had with the person on the phone today is there are certain DJ companies out there that only give pretty much plain, ordinary, everyday versions. So they're like album cuts and stuff like that. And for the clubs and bars that I DJ in, if I had to use those, I wouldn't be hired, because you just cannot use the plain cuts anymore in bars and clubs. You just can't. The person who hired you will let you go that night and say we'll fill in next week with anybody, because like I said, for the mix DJ and those of us who mix in the clubs and the bars, the plain album cuts are like I said, if someone, in fact, I'm not going to say who, but one of the companies was interested in getting me involved in some of the stuff they were doing and gave me their full library, access to everything, and the majority of what they had was plain cuts, just plain ordinary edits of things, and I had that access to that for a year, and I literally don't know if I downloaded 5 songs from them, because everything there was 100% useless to me. So I got this full run of this thing and couldn't use any of it. So what we're going to be talking about today is kind of different edits, and I'm going to try to describe them. And also, if you have any questions about them as we go along, I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat as we're going along here. So we're going to go on through there. I want to talk about something before that it has kind of jumped up recently, is cloud drives versus stuff in your own library. And that's a big thing that you can look at right now, is the fact that you have your own tracks, but there's also many different streaming services that you can use through your DJ service. And I've said this 1,000 times, every DJ should curate their own library, period. Do not rely on streaming services, but utilize them for when you need them, because I think they are an incredible tool to grab something you don't have to make that moment right there, whatever it is. Or just if you go, hey, I have a longer version of this song, I want a shorter version, and I can go to one of the streaming services that I subscribe to and get a quick edit and be done and out. Simple as that. So with the cloud versus the stuff that you have on your hard drive, I think you should have a good balance of that. Where to learn about new music, everybody kind of just thinks that you just, you can just get whatever the download service gives you in your bundle. And that's not always true, because trust me, I have friends in the music business, artists, who have paid to have their songs put on the discs that you pay for, that you think are hit songs to be played. Their song never got a single radio airplay. They paid to have it on the disc that you received. Well, back then received. So you can't really rely on just what they give you, especially, like I said, in the business that I work in mixing clubs and bars. You have to know what's hits, and you have to know what the people want to hear. And hits are both hits that are on a chart and hits that are songs that may be on TikTok, or songs that are on SoundCloud or something like that. You kind of have to be able to pay attention to all of that. You can get a good open up view from a distance on some of these things through like Spotify, iTunes, and even YouTube playlist. You can kind of see what's going on there. But they are just ways to kind of see what's going on. And that's the first thing you need. Why I want to, before I get into the types of songs, you have to know that you're getting stuff. Just don't have someone just give you something. Because I've said that before. If you pay for a service and once a month, again, a friend of mine's probably watching this, that we had the conversation earlier this afternoon, that if you pay for something and once a month you just bulk download stuff, I think you're losing out. I really think you're losing out, especially if you pay extra for that bulk, as opposed to me just grabbing 5 songs a week, whatever hits the charts or whatever's hot, 5 songs, whatever it is. I don't download a lot. I don't have to. I just play what's hits, and then leave the streaming service for those nights whenever something pops up. And it's rare that it does, because I have everything that's a hit. But I want you to think about that before we get into the different cuts that we're talking about. Now, if I say the word remix, a lot of y'all know, you've heard the word remix, and like I said, I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat while we're going through here. I like how everybody's saying hello to each other in the chat. That's freaking awesome. This is a crazy world, and we've all got to just kind of learn to be nice to each other, because this whole world's full of angry people, and some of the things, you have the right to be angry about, and other things, it might come from a different point. But when it comes to how you treat others, you've just got to treat others with a little bit of kindness. And right now, I love seeing that in the chat. So thank you guys for representing the DJ community and being, social and kind, enough to, if nothing else, just say hello to each other. I think that's awesome. But I always say the 3 R's. Like, for those of us who are old, they said the 3 R's in school were reading, writing, and arithmetic. But I think there are 3 R's in the DJ world. It's radio edits, remixes, and re-drums. That's where I'm going to start first. Now, radio edit is usually a clean version of the album version. So for those who are younger watching this, people like, back in the day, we used to have to buy all the songs that the artist put out to get one song. And when the days came about when I was able to start burning my own CDs and saying, I'm not carrying this CD that has 12 songs on it when I only want one of them. So when I was able to stop carrying albums, stop buying albums, and just get single songs, I loved that, because I was able to pick and choose what I wanted. But a radio edit is usually just a clean version of the album cut. You want to know what an album cut is? They're usually on Spotify and iTunes. Those are the plain ones that the artist puts together and puts out. The remix is something where someone takes the song, and it can be done nothing more than adding some beats and some breakdowns to the song, or it can be a total rearrangement of the order of things within there and just changing it up totally. So a remix can be a lot or a little. And then the re-drum is something that I think a lot of you should take advantage of. And like I said, a couple weeks ago, I was talking about the fact that I'm going to be doing some classes where it's group classes. If I can't play the songs tonight because we'll get busted for the copyright laws here, but if we do the group classes and you want to join in and learn a little bit about the re-drums that I find, I'll be able to share them there. But basically what a re-drum is it takes the song in its exact structure. So it doesn't change the chorus, it doesn't change the bridge. Everything that you would hear on the album cut is in the exact same order, the same thing. But what they do is they create some sort of modern sounding beat, and it changes all the time, and it runs for so many beats before the lyrics start and so many beats after the lyrics start. So it gives you all this time to mix in and time to mix out, and there's no lyrics over those intros and outro sections of a re-drum, but the re-drum also has them throughout the entire song. So you might, like I said, I have re-drums, Bon Jovi, I'm thinking just older songs, re-drums of Bon Jovi, Journey, Neil Diamond, Van Halen, ABBA, Village People, all these things where they've taken those older songs and put a little bit more modern beat to them. And I think re-drums are such a ridiculously important part to a DJ right now, because you can take a song where you say this song isn't very mixable, and I wish I was able to play the songs and give you the example. I said we can answer some questions on that. But the other night when we were talking about this, and I shared the examples of these things, you would hear the song going, and all of a sudden it drops out and the beat keeps going, and it's like it leaves you room to do things with. And like I said, some of this is so freaking basic that some of you have heard it all, some of you haven't, and that's why I wanted to cover this. I've never covered versions of songs like this before in my show. But that's all a re-drum is. Also, we have to look at the clean and explicit edits. Another thing you have to think about when you're looking at your versions of songs. There's a version called a transition mix. And what a transition mix is if you're mixing it, let's say 100 BPM, and you want to play a song that's like 90 BPM. Transition mixes are ones that will either go up or down in BPM. So you play the song, it starts at 100 BPM. So you can beat match with the 100 BPM song, and by the end of that song, through some sort of transition process, the BPM goes down to 90, so that now the next song that you want to play is 90 can beat match with that one. And those are, a lot of people take advantage of those, and I've seen transition mixes that'll drop from like 120 to 100. I've seen most of the other ones are usually within 10, give or take. but you can find transition mixes that involve one single song and the song transitions, or you can find other ones where it puts two songs together that creates that transition from the first song to the second song. And a lot of people use them to kind of smooth up their mixes so that when they have big jumps in BPM, that this can smooth it out. Like I said, because for the club and bar DJ, we can't let that music end. If you let that music end, you have failed. If you let that beat just kick and kick and kick and kick and there's nothing there, you have failed. And you will be replaced. I'm telling you, you will be replaced. So these edits and versions help you to keep that all those transitions as smooth and creative so they're not the exact same thing every single time. The next one is one that I take advantage of a lot. And for those who follow some of my live streams that I do, they got to see one the other night that I did at the last half hour of my stream, and I'll probably be doing it again tomorrow night in my live stream at 7 p.m., is that they are quick mixes. And a quick mixes is that intro drum beat, about a minute of the song, and an outro drum beat. And those, especially with the younger kids, the college kids, like I said, for the bar scene, 21 to 30, you play a lot of those. So when I was showing at the last half hour of my mix the other night, we went back and looked at the history of the play, what I played, and it was like, at 7 o'clock I played a song, and then at 7:01 I played a song, and then 7:03 I played a song, and 7:04 I played a song, and 7:05 I played a song, and 7:07 I played a song, and a whole way down the whole hour is like that. And the quick mixes help you to be able to jump in and out. Now you can jump in and out with any other version too. You just pick a point where the end of the chorus usually is, most people do the end of the second chorus and jump out, but these are pre-cut so that it's a little bit more, the transition is a little dumbed down for you so that you're able to take that version and kind of cut in and out of that. I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat there. Seeing if anybody has any questions. Cool. All right, so we're back to this. So that, other than that, you expand that out, that quick edit, to a full edit with the intros and outros. And those are sometimes called intro edits. Back in the day, there was a thing called an extended mix. An extended mix was a longer version of a song with an intro and outro. But now they're marking, like if they do an intro and an outro beat on an album cut without lengthening the album cut, adding any special breakdowns, they're calling that an extended mix with just the intro and outro to it. So those are, like I said, all of these are tools that you can use for mixing because, like I said, as a mix DJ, you've got to be creative. I'm mixing every minute and a half, 2 minutes for 4 straight hours, multiple nights a week. So I have, at some of the same places. So you have to be really creative and stuff like that. Like the intros and the redrums are the basics that you guys can start with to try to find versions of stuff that you play all the time. Also, with those intros and stuff, many of you, and I would say many of us DJs, have songs that the BPM is not steady, especially older songs. And I even have some remixes that I've downloaded that the person who made the remix completely screwed up the beat and it's not steady. So a lot of those you can go out and get fixed versions so that a person did what's called I just blanked on it. Oh crap. Those who use Ableton, let me know what that's called. I just completely just blanked on what that's called. But it's basically taking the song and it's taking all the beats that are off and aligning them where they should be. You're quantizing it basically, but it's more than that. You're warping it. That's what Ableton calls it, warping. So if you have this song that has a beat that's on beat, a beat that's on beat, a beat that's a little off, a beat that's a little off, what it does is it finds all of those and it straightens it out to where they're now always on beat. And if you have songs, like I said, stuff like, yeah, thank you, John. Certain words just kind of crap out on me there. But what they do is, like I said, Dancing Queen was one, and Village People was another, and there's a couple of those that I got tired of having versions that where all they did was put an intro beat and an outro beat, and the song was off. The beat matched the song, but the beat wasn't steady. And I went out and said, screw it, I'm getting better versions, and went to download services, which we're going to talk about in a bit, download services, and got versions that were corrected, okay? Someone there's talking about extended mix gives you a better sound mix. Like I said, Old version of extended mix is different than new version of extended mix, because if you go out right now to a download service and get an extended mix, all it is the regular version with an intro and outro. And I think that's hilarious because we, back in the day, Robin, I know how old, I don't want to say, Robin's much younger than me because I'm really old, but she understands back in the day when you got an extended cut, it was a special version, and that's not what it is now. And so keep in mind that if you're used to getting, this is an extended cut, thinking it's something special, nowadays it's just going to be the album cut with an intro and outro. So keep that in mind when you're looking for these things. One of my favorite ones for songs that have slow beginnings, the song Stay. Many of you heard that. It starts out kind of slow, but I didn't want to lose the energy of that song, so they make hook first edits, ones where they take the chorus, the hook, and put it before the first verse. So as you're mixing in, you have an intro beat, that hot chorus, then they go into the first verse, so that you never lose that energy with that slow kind of dead beginning. You go out and you find hook first edits that kind of have that. And again, I wish I was able to play you versions of this because, like I said, all the time I'm looking at these songs going, this has a really dead beginning to it. And what I do is I just go look for hook first edit. You can do these live yourself. Now, I'm not saying anybody, you can't do them live. There's people out there going, you'd have to download these, do them yourself live. I know you can, but I'm trying to explain this in the simplest forms. So the hook edit first is another tool you can use to just really make your mix pop. Mashups are another. I have DJ friends who hate mashups that say, no one should ever use a mashup ever again. I like them. They're fun because I think sometimes, depending on what you use, you can get two audiences at once. You can have an older song with a mashup of a new beat and get two kind of crowds on the same thing. I use them. But mashup is basically lyrics from one song, beat from another. So you have lyrics and music and beat from another. So it sounds like two songs put together, mashed up. The next one is kind of a tool that I have and don't use as much as I probably should, and they are acapella intros and outros. So an acapella is basically the singing without the music or the beat. So these songs, acapella intros, acapella outros, start with no beat, no music, just the person singing, and at some point the beat comes in. And an acapella outro is the same way. The song is the normal song, then all of a sudden the beat and everything goes away, and you just have the lyrics. And those are for doing mixing over and under and scratching. So if I had an acapella intro and I was playing a song on my left deck and the acapella intro was on my right, this song has an outro beat. So when I got to that outro beat, I would drop the acapella intro synced over that outro beat and create kind of a different sound that is a mix between the two. It becomes a different type of transition. And I know a lot of friends who use those to scratch into, where as soon as that last word finishes on the other song and they have the kick out, they'll take the first word of the next song and scratch, and then drop the lyric right on beat. And it is just a tool for the acapella intros and outros for the same way. You can use those going out of songs for the same way. Like I said, I have them. I don't use them as much as I should, but to a person who uses them well, like one of our guys for Disc Jockey News, DJ Superfly, uses them a lot, and I think he uses them like a ninja is the best I could say. They're not annoying. They're not overdone. They're done just right. The level he does them, they're creative. You pay attention. They keep you engaged, and that's the purpose of us mixing, is to continually keep that crowd engaged, that you don't give them a minute. Like, I can't tell you how many nights that I've DJ'd where I've had people come up and go, please play something I don't like. I need to go to the restroom. You capture them on that dance floor for hours, and that's the purpose of what we do. So the acapella intros and outros are really good. You can choose also video or audio. I know guys that will not do video whatsoever. They don't ever want to mess with it, and other guys that are known for video. I think I'm kind of in the middle of both. I do video whenever I need to do video. I do audio when I still use the same version. So if I have a video version of a song and I'm playing a night where there's no screen, I'm still going to play that video version because the audio is going to come out. I don't only play video when I'm hooked up to video. I get a version that I like, and a lot of times I try to get the version in a video version, and I will use that as just an audio version. There are two things you have to look at when hunting for remixes. I saw a question there. Derek for Gleeful Productions in here is talking about the older extended mixes. One night, Derek, you and I are going to have a show together, and the sad part is as much as Derek and I like talking about gear and stuff, that show may turn out being like a 12-hour show, because we like to talk about the equipment and like to talk about songs and things going on in the business. And it's not uncommon for him or I at like 2 a.m. that we see some post about some piece of equipment that's being leaked, that one of us is sending it to the other one. Derek, thank you for joining in. I appreciate that and your comments. But I think might have to pull you on the show one night and kind of like feel the energy of both of us when we get excited about a product. I will answer some of the questions there. We'll come back to that. But I want to talk about the music download services because there are legal and illegal remix versions. So technically, legally, and I mean legally, unless the person who owns the song, that can be the label, that can be the producer or the artist, whoever owns the rights to that song, unless they say, yes, you can do a remix, your remix is illegal. So let's use a company like Promo Only. They get their go-ahead through the labels, through the people who own the production rights, the artist, to do a remix for their company, okay? And they are okayed to make that remix. So that is a legal remix. But if I go out and make a remix, don't get anybody's permission, I just want to make a remix, that's technically illegal. So that is a fine line. I'm not going to stand here and dance on the line. I don't want to, but I just want to let you know that there are services out there, ones that I'm telling you that I subscribe to because they get me the versions that I want. Some of their remixes are illegal. They were just created by someone who does great remixes, and then they offer them as part of their service. Like I said, for me as a remix artist, a DJ artist that mixes, if I can't have those remix versions, it's pointless. It's absolutely pointless. So like I said, if you gave me free stuff and it wasn't any of the remixes, edits, anything like that, I couldn't do anything with it. I literally couldn't do anything with it. So I just want that's all the further I want to go on illegal and illegal because it's a touchy line. Like I said, Derek and I had a long conversation this afternoon about companies that get caught up in this and different things, but we both are in the sense that we want to find the mixes that we like. And most of the time, unfortunately, those come from services and remixers that don't get the official go-ahead from the label, and that's just kind of sad there. Moving past that, there are ways to download, and like I said, I'm ready to take the questions in the chat. We can talk about the download services, but there are ways to do them. You can do monthly without a limit services out there to where you just pay for a month and download whatever you want. Some of them have limits that are hard to reach, but you pay for the month. Other ones are pay per song. There's even one... Club Killers does a credit thing, so you can buy credits from them. Let's say you bought 30 credits and that's 30 songs. There's no time that those 30 songs expire. You just go in and pick and choose if you need one. If you go there and go, I like this version, they have this version I like, then you go download that one, and that's just one mark off your credit. So now you have 29 credits, and some of those are nice like that. Some other ones are downloaded via web page through secondary programming. Like FileZilla. Promo Onlys is one that uses a secondary program to download things, and there's a lot of them out there that do different things like that. So there's many different ways to get all of these, but my main thing tonight is that I wanted to talk about the different ones and kind of explain the different things that you get in these songs, because it to me, it is what makes a DJ kind of shine, because it's most of the places, like I said, it's the remix DJ, club DJ, bar DJ. You're not spending much time on the microphone. You're not getting out there and dancing with them. Your job, you're hired to mix. And I know I repeat myself, so those who watch my show all the time, I'm sorry that I'm redundant so badly. But like I said, we're hired to mix and nothing else. So there are places I've DJ'd that they do not allow a mic in the booth. Your job is to mix for 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever long your spot is, that 2 hours if you have an opening spot or whatever. Your job is to mix, not just play the songs. You have to mix. And I've seen DJs who can mix get replaced by someone who mixes better. And that's part of it. So a lot of the stuff I was talking tonight is about being creative in that mix. If you take my DJ classes, if you have any questions about my DJ classes, hit me up afterwards. I'm on every social media there is. I do both one-on-one classes, and I'm starting a thing next month where they're group classes where it doesn't cost as much, where you can come in, drop a few dollars, less than $10, sit part of a live room with like 5 to 10 other people, and some of them might be subject nights, some of them might be open question, and you can just donate to like my PayPal, my Venmo, or whatever like that. But there are classes like that you can take to learn about these things, and they're the places that I can show you what they are, but in my DJ classes, if you take them, I show about 30 different ways to transition songs. So there's 30 different ways to transition songs, and then you start multiplying those 30. So let's say you have way number 1, way number 5, and way number 7, and you use all 3 of those in one mix. It makes it really creative. So you can keep in mind, beat matching is not mixing. Beat matching is just beat matching. So you've beat matched in, and you're starting to blend. So blending is a whole thing of mixing. And then you come out of the blend into a scratch and then an echo out. So you've just now used 3 or 4 different ways to transition one song. And you start multiplying those over the night, and you are going to have a very creative set that people don't know what's coming, and you keep them there, and you keep them there, and you keep them there, and you keep them there. I talked a while back about the difference between focusing on a dance floor or focusing on a room. People talk about, you got to read the room, you got to read the dance floor. I think there is a difference, because one of the places I DJ at opens at about 10 p.m. and about 11 o'clock, it's packed. So as soon as you come in that door, you're going to wait in the line to get in the door. As soon as you get in that door, it is shoulder to shoulder. There are no tables to sit down on. There are no chairs. You're standing room only all the way up to the dance floor, and then the dance floor is packed end to end, people pushing off into corners, all kinds of stuff like that. So that's a place where you have to pay attention to the crowd, because it doesn't matter who's at the bar, because the bar is already 3 people deep. You don't have to turn over a dance floor in places like this. You just have to keep that dance floor jamming. If that dance floor is full, you got a good night. Other places, they have chairs and different things to sit, and you need to rotate that dance floor. So you have to pay attention to the room, not just the people on the dance floor, but who are sitting, to try to rotate and move that around. And that's where I said, using these songs, you can be really creative and catch all different crowds in and out off of the dance floor. So I've talked enough. I want to look at some of the questions here in the chat. Let me take a look down through here. Someone said here, not every DJ can mix older songs. Versions are only DJs from old school that speech for those who don't have the knowledge. I know young guys that are, DJing for 2 years that can mix old songs. So it's about skill level. It's not about that, because I know, like I said, I know guys and girls. I know kids that have been DJing for less than 5 years that can grab a record of an old song, a literal record, and break off a mix that you would swear was pre-recorded. So it just goes on the DJ skills, and they're all just points to use for that. Are beat grids the same as cue points? No. A beat grid, basically, I can show you a beat grid. I can share that. I can do that tonight. All right, so I'm going to share here. Left screen. All right, cool. So as you see here, I'm going to take the loop off of this. This is virtual. And a beat grid, I want to find a better song because I was looking for a loop to come in there. Let me do one of these quick mixes. We'll do the Get Busy. All right, so the Get Busy, it's a short edit. I'm telling you from the very beginning right here to the very end, and I'll see if I have a zoom in here, cropped. There we go. Now you can see that. From the very beginning to the end, it's 1:47 seconds, the whole thing. So a beat grid that's the first beat of the song right there. I'm going to mute this because I don't want it to play. But you see it's marked. The second beat is marked right there. The third beat is marked. Those are beat markers, and now the fourth beat. It goes all the way through. A cue point is, I'm going to jump to here, and a cue point like this cue point here, I marked it 8 beats before the first word because I want to be done with my mix of the other song, the person's words, before I get to cue point 4. So I know when I get to cue point 4, I made that mark myself. So you can see the other marks that the program says this is the downbeat, etc., blah, blah, blah. But I put this point there to say that's the first word. So whatever the other song is doing, I have to be done with its words before I get to here, or I have words over words, and that's not good at all. So that's the difference between beat markers and beats. And if I had an older song to show you, let me think if I have one. Let me think of one here. I want to find, I think this one might have it. So this is the video version of Earth, Wind, and Fire. And as you can see there, because it varies, the program is reading it to be this BPM, and it should be dead on. But as you can see as I go across there, the beat is off because it varies. So if I go and get a better version, like Saffron's, which is my absolute favorite in the whole world, oops, let me turn that down too. You can get into the cue points, and you see he fixed it. So now every beat is dead on. And that's the difference between the two. It's still the same song, but because the older ones are off, the downbeat markers are saying, hey, it should be here, but it's not really, because you can see that's a little off. And that's the difference between a cue point and a beat marker. One is the program trying to tell you where the beat should be, and the other one is you marking it for some reason, whether it be to press a button and get there, or just a flag saying, hey, here's a breakdown. Use this breakdown, blah, blah, blah. So that's what that is. Let me look here. Robin added a video. I'm not sure what Robin added there in the chat. Sorry. Robin says, can you have more than 3 cue points? And most controllers nowadays have 8 buttons. But especially with virtual, it does not mean you can only have 8 cue points. I'm going to go back here and share. Let me move this in further. So not only can you have more than 8, there are other setups that will let you do multiple banks. So you can have 16 and on and on and on. You can have as many cue points as you want. But virtual also has this thing called, like I said, you can see the different cue points. So I usually just run 8. I very rarely go more than 8. There are other times I've gone more than 8. There was a scratch routine I did at the expo last year that I put more than 8 because I wanted to track the scratch points because there were so many samples that I was scratching. But if you click on it, and then there's a points of interest editor. Wait, let me get that one that has stuff in there. So we have the points of interest editor. Let me move that, oops, this way. You can see that they're there, and you can add other ones besides the cue points. You can add a flag saying, you know, mix tempo exit, and that is not taking up a cue point mark, but it's a flag that's going to pop up and say, here's what it is. And you can create those. So with virtual, not only can you have your cue points, but you can have flags telling you where stuff's at. So I hope that answers that question. Any other questions? I ran much longer talking tonight than I intended because, like I said, I was trying to get the feed over on the other side, and it just didn't work. I just don't have enough bandwidth in my house. I don't pay for a lot. So doing multiple feeds, it just didn't work out that way. So if you have any questions or comments in the chat, feel free to shout them out now. I'm paying attention the best I can. I don't know if I missed anybody or anything. Trying to see. We should be picking up from all the different feeds tonight, including Facebook. We have some people watching from Facebook and different things. So if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. We still got a couple minutes. So keep in mind, in 2 weeks, we start the new format. So the show is going to be, instead of being every other week, it's going to be every week, but it's going to be a half an hour. The first week will be open question, and then the following week will be a topic, and then open question topic. So the show is going to be shortened so that those of you who watch it on demand can get in and out of it, and you don't have to spend an hour surfing through trying to find stuff. I think it's going to be a little more, better to view because you have to think about the average sitcom minus the commercials is 22 minutes. So I want to try to think on that half-hour marks thing and try to figure that out that way. So, any other questions in the chat? Trying to do the chat, make sure I'm still picking everything up here. I'm just doing a refresh on the chat, so. Yeah, so if you have any questions, hit me up. Otherwise, I think that's about it. Because like I said, the different versions are designed so that you can be very creative in the mix. And that's what I wanted to expose you to, is the different types of songs that are out there. And like I said, I use all of them every night that I mix. So every night that I mix, I don't use very many album cuts or radio edits. I'm using the short edits. I'm using the intro edits. I'm using the remixes, the re-drums. I'm using the mashups. I'm using all of those throughout a night, and I mix it up as much as I can. And a lot of times, if there's a hot song and I have to play it every week, a lot of times the next week I'll try to play a little different version so that they're not hearing the same song same version week after week. And a lot of times one of my things is if a song is a hit and it's a hit for a while and goes away, I go and get a different version to be able to play it. So a throwback for the college crowd right now would be, I've talked about this before on the show, so again, I apologize for repeating myself. A throwback for them is Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. So I went and got one with a Mamba tone beat to it. So it's that song, but with the Mamba tone beat, and it kind of makes it newer for the new crowd. They don't feel it's the same thing over, but it's not destroyed by some crazy remix. It kind of stays there, but it's just a redrum using a mambo beat. For Dave asking about stems, yeah, I did 3 videos. So that's the other thing that Derek and I were talking about today, is that everything I cover, I've covered probably 2 or 3 times. So go to Disc Jockey News' YouTube page, just youtube.com/Disc Jockey News, and you can search my name or you can search by topic. So if you go there and search stems, you're going to see all the videos I did on stems. If you want to do stuff about songs, search the word songs, and you're going to see probably 10 videos I did about songs. So there's lots of them in there. The ones I did about for the stems, I broke them down and showed how they worked and different things like that. A lot of other people did too. That's something that, because of the way I use them, I think it would work for one of the group classes that I was talking about, that if people wanted to be in it, that I would be able to show how I use them, because a lot of times I'll dip out the music and just let the words go by themselves. If they're singing along, sometimes I'll dip the lyrics out and just let the beat, so they're singing. So the stems can be used for a lot of different things. And one of the cool things it does, because I have mine, I MIDI mapped my buttons to add one on there that only isolates the kick drum and the snare drum. So if I have a version that doesn't have an outro, I can get to the end of the chorus, hit my stem that removes everything but the kick and the snare, and then I have an outro beat now because of virtual stems. And that's one of the cool things, that if I get stuck and I'm like, this song is not popular, I've been playing it, for a minute and a half now, people aren't digging it, I got to get out of the song. That makes it really easy to get an outro beat to get out of it. So the stems are, like I said, lots of other people have done incredible videos on that too, so check them out also. So thank you. That was a good song. Good question there. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anybody else? We got a lot of people watching tonight. Appreciate that. I would have liked to have been able to figure out how to do the broadcast of mine, but I'll figure that in the future. So if you're trying to watch it on one of mine, I apologize. Any other questions? We're going to give it a couple more seconds there. But yeah, I think this show alone, I'm on show 60 some. My remix, the rerun report is almost to 200 episodes. Virtual DJ How To is way up there, and I've done a bunch more. Again, DJ, it depends, because like I said, I know some kids that do some amazing things in the mixes. I like to do a lot of different stuff myself. I'm known for blending, and I literally have people that know nothing about DJing come up and go, what is it about your mixes that just they will go, they just blend together? And that's what I do, and that's what I teach in one of my classes, and it's one that I really won't give out there, is that I do the blends. And a blend is a way to kind of you can make song. Back in the days, we didn't have a lot of the effects to make the song, the transitions, so we had to take the mid, low, and high and trick it to do things to make songs kind of blend together a little bit better, or do a filter by turning the high one direction, the low, the mid to the left, and kind of create a filter that way. You just didn't have a lot of that stuff, and that's what the blending is. See anybody else there? Yeah, I think what I'm going to end up doing is doing one of the group classes on Virtual DJ, because a lot of people are switching over. I literally had someone contact me today about doing a group class. Like I said, with what I do, this is my full-time job. I do this for a living. So if you needed a carpenter or a plumber and they were your friend and you wanted them to do something, you couldn't get them to come over to your house and do it for free. You'd have to pay them. And that's what a lot of my stuff now that I'm going to start doing classes on a little bit different level, but I'm going to have to start doing something, whether it be donations or pay. Like I said, a lot of people, I had several people, like last week and the week before, people pay for the full-out classes, and they get a lot. Like I tell everybody, I said $20 says within the first half hour you're going to be like, well, this what I've learned already is worth it, and most of them get that. But we're there for 2 or 3 hours learning stuff. But the group classes are going to give you a thing, and that's one of the things that everybody is dipping over to Virtual DJ and at least trying it. And that's what I think I'm going to end up doing, a group class on just that, to answer Virtual DJ questions, because there's so much that you can, like, it's when I start talking about what you can do with it, it'll blow your mind. If you get a chance to go to DJology, they have a YouTube page, Facebook page, all of that. They had me come in and do a little talk about my 5 favorite things about Virtual DJ. And some of the things that what I considered basic stuff, they were all like, you can do that? I'm like, yeah. So if you get a chance to go over to DJology, check out my 5 top favorite things of Virtual DJ. I've also done on my show VDJ How To, my 5 favorite things on there. So there's lots of things you can learn on that. So, but if you are interested in either the individual classes or the much cheaper group classes, hit me up. I'm making a list, and those will be starting next month. I'm going to do a test for some of the people who are in part of our Disc Jockey News Insiders area. For those who want to know about that, go check that out. It's an Insiders area that gets you a lot of DJ education stuff that is not on Disc Jockey News' YouTube page. It's behind the scenes, and it's a really great place to go for that. Can we maybe reach out to you for the team group chat? Yes, absolutely. Like I said, I'm on every social media. So no matter what you use, you can message me there. You can send me an email. I'm on all of them. So I just had a guy contact me the other day through Instagram message. And I've had people give me requests through Instagram message that I'm DJing, and all of a sudden I'll get a message on that, and it's someone saying, can you play such and such a song, Loving the Set tonight? And I'll be like, hold the phone up, and the person knows, that I got them and stuff like that. So hit me up on any of those whatsoever. Yeah, thank you, Derek. I appreciate the shout out, Derek. Derek was he still uses Serato, but he's recently made the purchase of Virtual and is making the dive into it. And I got to help him set some stuff up, and it's fun to watch someone realize stuff they can do. Like I said, anything from shortcuts to make a wedding easier, to where you can transition a song with one hand while you're holding the mic, or the elaborate stuff you can do through stems, effects, video effects, all kinds of stuff. Also, it has its own built-in synth, so I can drop drums underneath if there's a part of the song where it dies. I have it programmed to hit a button and it starts a kick drum, and the kick drum will always be on beat no matter what the BPM is. All of that stuff can be done through Virtual. But also Serato's great too, and Rekordbox has made some incredible cool things recently. So if you haven't checked them out too. So cool. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. We're at the top of the hour. Again, back in 2 weeks, it will be a half-hour show, and it will be open question. So save up your questions for then. If you want to talk about the DJ education stuff, hit me up. Otherwise, like I said before, it's a crazy world, and you have to be kind to each other. So take care of yourself, and more importantly, take care of each other. So until next time, on behalf of all the people at Disc Jockey News, and again, thank you, everybody. God bless, and good night.